Megan Poore is here speaking for AAWAA. AAWAA is a peak body which represents women's groups in all states and territories in Australia. AAWAA affiliate groups are women's liberation groups committed to the protection and advancement of women and girls on the understanding that sex is a biological fact with material consequences for females living under patriarchy. AAWAA is secular, independent, and unaligned with any political party. They advocate for women and girls, especially in domains where we face discrimination or vulnerability because of our sex. And Megan, please. AAWAA, go ahead.
Thank you, Janet. And thank you, as always, to WDI for having us along to provide a bit of an update and a sense of where we're going in this year. And always lovely to see Jill and other sisters. So thank you so much for allowing us to share the floor. I'm going to provide, as I said, a bit of an update on our recent work. I'll talk a bit about our current projects, as well as some strategy and future directions that I think we all need to kind of push towards. In terms of our recent work or our update, many of you will know that in October last year, we ran the AAWAA Women's Summit 2024, which focused on strategies and tools for effective grassroots activism and advocacy, both on the streets and in politicians' offices. We had some terrific talks on that, as well as a wonderful panel discussion on advancing women's liberation, our rights and freedoms. And we also provided some guidance on crafting impactful policy submissions and FOIs. It was a pretty successful event, I'd say. We had around 30 attendees. We also had an action on the final morning, which was the third morning in Canberra, where we dropped a banner over a bridge. You can check our Twitter feed for a photo. In terms of our recent advocacy and submissions, we put in a submission through our New South Wales group on the New South Wales Equality Bill. WA, we've also looked at the Births, Deaths and Marriages Bill and put in letters and submissions there. A letter to Susan Ley, who's the Shadow Minister for Women, from AAWAA, from the Western Australian group, on the SDA Sex Discrimination Act. New South Wales also is busy with abortion access advocacy. Queensland, AAWAA and our Queensland group, QA, have written letters to MPs regarding the Queensland Children's Gender Service. You can see those on or a flavour of them on our website. We don't put everything that we send to politicians or others on our website. We often wait to get a response, but for things that are a bit more open, we do blog. We've also put in recently a submission on the age pension, which we were invited to do by the Australian National Audit Office. We think we were invited because we put in a submission to a Senate committee inquiry on menopause. So it's good to know that when you do put in these submissions, other organisations in government will start to look at you and figure out, okay, well, maybe we want to hear from these people. So we put together a submission on the age pension with some really powerful case studies in it. I've given you a bit of an update on QA, the Queensland group, NWA, the New South Wales group, and AAWAA, the Western Australian group. WAT, the Tasmanian group, they've got an ongoing focus on sex-based rights and gender law reform. And also, I'm very pleased to announce, before that, WAV, our Victorian group, they are monitoring anti-vilification laws. They're supporting also continuing public actions. And also very pleased to report that since we were last here at this webinar, that we have established a group in the Northern Territory. So now we've got the full set. We are now in all states and territories, and the Northern Territory women are really coming together. There's quite a lot of them. And it's nice to see so many AAWAA women here tonight as well. Probably the last major thing that we've been up to recently has been that we've formed an executive committee which oversees and coordinates national activities. It represents all the affiliate groups, all our affiliate women's action alliances. The idea is that it can provide strategic leadership, set direction, ensure alignment with our values, our core values. Each of our groups has a representative on the executive, so that allows us to come together for some collective decision making. And we also, in the executive, it's also about operational management, so handling administration and meetings and recruitment and resource allocation. That's kind of up till now. However, we do have some projects in the works. In terms of advocacy and submissions, we're shifting focus a little bit. We're moving away from bulk submission writing, which we've been doing for a while, to more targeted submissions, to where we think we might have an impact. So yeah, around legislation, policies, UN reports. So a bit of a shift away there and a new direction into more letter writing and direct political engagement. So that means meeting with MPs, tracking political stances, responding to consultations, trying to get meetings, that sort of thing. So just a little bit of shift in direction for us. In terms of a few of our next steps, we've got our fundraising strategy, which we're working on, expansion and recruitment, which we're also working on. I'll speak a bit more about that in a minute. Just that's around strengthening membership, especially in some of our more underrepresented states, and political engagement. We're starting to request meetings with federal MPs, and I know that sisters in the affiliate groups have gotten meetings with MPs in their states and territories, so that's great. We also have 4 foundation projects underway, and as we reorient away from bulk submission writing into more letter writing and direct engagement with politicians, we need to really shore up and build further the foundations that we have in AAWAA. So this looks like a number of things, and I'll share this because some of these resources we are building in order to share with other groups. So first up, we're building lists of parliamentarians for all parliaments in Australia. And the list will look something like this. Once we've got that up, I know that other groups also have similar lists, but we want, because we are national, we need our own lists, but we will also make this sort of thing available to other groups and individuals because we think that there's great value in contacting MPs. The second of our foundation projects is what we're calling the AAWAA Radar trademark, just because it's cute, which is our calendar. It's a centralised calendar of advocacy opportunities, key events, submission deadlines, still in the works, still building, because in order to do this, we have to identify various websites and newsletters and things like that that we need to check or receive, and then we need to start putting it all into the AAWAA Radar. You can see here an example of how it would look for next week, say. Once this is ready to launch, and it may still be a few months, a couple of months, let's say, once this is ready to launch, we'll be allowing and inviting other organisations and trusted others to also access it. We just think that there has been, in discussions between groups, there's always like, how do we know what's coming up? How do we know? How do we know? How do we know? At AAWAA, we figured that if we build this, we can start to populate it, and then others around the traps can also just quickly flick us an email and say, hey, AAWAA, can you please add this to the radar? And then everyone has got something that's fairly central there. So hopefully those are 2 resources as part of our 4 foundation projects that will be useful to other groups. For ourselves, we're also working on team building and role assignments. We're building role snapshots for roles that need filling in AAWAA. And we do have around 50 members on the books. Women come to us and they say, what can we do? What do you want me to do? And you know, we're kind of like, well, whatever you want, but that's not good enough. We found that we need to start more clearly communicating more specific needs, and these are some of them. So we're building different teams. Again, this is foundational work. It's going to take a while to get established, which means that we're also being taken a little bit out of the advocacy space while we get these foundations built. but we're going to work towards communications team where we've got admin, membership, recruitment, a web team which will help maintain our website, our finance team once we start to build our finances, our writing team, of which we already have some members, so that's researching and drafting submissions, blog content, that sort of stuff, and a media team. We don't have much of a social media presence. Part of that is because it's a bit of an echo chamber in many ways, and it hasn't been worth our time, but it does have its uses. So we also think that perhaps liaising with the media might be helpful at this point. So those teams are being built slowly. We haven't really pulled the trigger on that yet because we're still getting a few more things in place. The last of our, oh, look at that, that's a big change from the last slide. The last of our foundation projects is our workshop program. We are developing a workshop program where we can run skills workshops for AAWAA members and trusted others. These are the sorts of workshops that we would be running for other women in the movement. So how to do FOIs, how to craft letters, even simple things like who do I address it to, who signs it. Some of these things are things that we've discovered that women need more skilling up in. So we're here to try to help fill some of those gaps. How to engage the media, how to use digital tools, and what's number 2 there? Yes, submissions and letter writing. So these are some of the workshops that we will be advertising to all sisters, even outside of AAWAA. And then within AAWAA, we are also working on some like professional development workshops to get everyone skilled up, especially in our admin processes, how things work within AAWAA behind the scenes, how our organisation runs. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. I just want to say something about our strategy and future directions. And I think this probably, I hope this applies to everyone in terms of thinking. And I want to start with, a lot of you will be aware of the coalition letter that went out a couple of weeks ago now. It was started by Women's Forum Australia. They got a whole bunch of academics, medical experts, advocacy people to sign the letter. So it really was a coalition letter calling for an inquiry into gender medicine. And I just want to say something about that. We felt in AAWAA that that was really quite an important opportunity because it allowed us to advance our advocacy and indicate broad-based support for issues such as, well, not support for gender medicine, but support for, there was a broad base of people coming together to call for this inquiry. We also felt it was important because it engaged quite a diverse range of signatories, legal, academic, from advocacy fields, medical, and also we felt that in order for the letter to have more power, it really needed strong representation from across the political spectrum, including voices from the left, because that strengthens the credibility and the reach of our concerns. And that's why we signed. It was a good letter as well, but we also thought that it was important to strengthen our credibility there. It was also especially important to us to encourage participation from lesbian and gay organisations, given the implications of gender medicine for same-sex attracted youth. And again, showing a broad-based support. This isn't just a conservative issue. From that, we've been thinking that, yes, we really need to realise as a movement that we have to start building effective coalitions as a key part of our strategic advocacy, not just within ourselves, but sometimes aligning with organisations that and individuals that maybe that's something that we always discuss at AAWAA is exactly who do we want to align and sign off with. But sometimes aligning with those organisations from different political backgrounds, it does require careful consideration. There's no doubt about that. But there are moments, such as this one with the Women's Forum Australia instigated coalition letter. There are moments like this where this kind of collective action can have a significant impact because of that broad base. So we've been thinking about really the three reasons for, well, what are the reasons for broadening this engagement? It's about broadening the engagement to ensure a well-reasoned presence in public discourse. And as you know, we have been silenced. We don't have that presence in public discourse, but this is a way that maybe we can start to build it. It strengthens our position, is the first thing. It counters misinformation, which is tricky because that's what they say as well. But it also allows us to push for meaningful policy change and legislative outcomes. We're at AUS, we're trying to help build a strong movement. To be effective, we do need organisation. It is something that we lack. We also lack structure in the movement. We lack some clear direction and everyone pulling in the same direction. I think we're all pulling in the same direction, but we're not all just in the same boat, right? We all need to be well, we are in the same boat, but we need to be not literally, but we need to be in the same boat. We need to be all kind of working together. So that's where the strong foundation allows us to stay focused and maximise that kind of impact. Strategy matters in this area, those clear goals. Again, organisation structure, having firm plans, which is why we have reoriented away from the bulk submission writing into something that we think is more strategic and more direct engagement. It allows our efforts to be more targeted and therefore more effective rather than just spraying out into the wilderness. Targeted, effective strategy. And because strategy strengthens us. Defined roles and processes, all important. Structure, organisation, all of this stuff is not just bureau speak, but it helps prevent burnout because that's a big thing in this movement. We see women drop off all the time. Retired, hurt because of burnout. So this keeps us moving forwards if we've got some clear goals, structure, organisation. That's the power of the collective, we think, at AUS. A well-organised movement is harder to ignore. It's more capable of driving change or at least engaging in debates where they can't ignore us. The stronger our foundation, which is why we're working on our foundation project there, we're going to have greater impact. And if we can get organised, we can stay strategic and we can push forward. That's what we've been up to. That's where we're going. I'm just going to share this one last slide in case you would like to get in touch. About AUS, Janet, thank you for orienting people to who we are. That we do have affiliate groups in each and every state and territory in Australia. You've mentioned our mission. Our core values are evidence-based advocacy, using facts, rational discourse, highlight and challenge the erosion of our protections. We're non-partisan, as Janet mentioned, so we operate independently of any political, religious or ideological affiliations. We're collaborative, so we work alongside within ourselves. Of course, having 8 affiliate groups means we have to be collaborative between ourselves, but also we do like working alongside other like-minded groups and exploring other possible alliances when necessary. But like-minded groups is always a no-brainer for us. So our main strategy is to address the issues that we deal with, and it's not just gender identity, it's pornography, prostitution, sex trafficking, reproductive exploitation, denial of reproductive rights. Our main strategy is engagement, it's advocacy, interacting with legislators, policymakers, those with duty of care, those with responsibility to safeguard and promote the rights of women and girls, and also doing all of this and maintaining our professionalism. So we hope we have a reputation as a serious, sensible organisation, and we try to build through consensus. This is us. We are AUS, the Affiliation of Australian Women's Action Alliances. Those are our details. If you want to get in touch, if you want to join one of our teams, do let us know. There's always a place for you. The teams that we are building and the roles that we are developing are fully supported and they're flexible. You will get help, you will get guidance. We have all of that in place. So again, thank you so much, Janet, for having AUA along, and I'm very much looking forward to the next speakers. Thank you.
Utterly marvellous. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I love hearing what the women's groups are up to.